Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this evening I am delighted to be joined by Chris McElwee, and we are here, of course, to talk about DC United 0 Celtic 2. And I've got to say, Chris, first, as far as first half goes, post midnight, that was decent. I quite enjoyed that as a first half. I thought there was some really good individual performances in there.
Yeah, although I'm going to start off on a negative, and I make no apologies for this. Get that stripe off those shorts. That I want white, plain white shorts. I want to go back to the old days, the white socks and the white shorts. Not having this daft off-color green stripe on the shorts. Not for me. But
I'm glad we've started off with the most important topic. But by the way, if we're going to do that with the shorts, I just want a big, massive green number back on there as well. Why not? Go the full hog, Chris.
Yeah.
Go the full hog.
Yeah, but no, you're right on the performance. I thought there was a lot of positives to take. I think on what I should point out, a very, very difficult pitch. Pitch is in really bad condition. And you can see that it's affecting the play for both teams, to be fair. But there were a couple of really bright points, I think, in that team. Now, I want to talk first of all about the two young boys playing right and left back, Colby Donovan and Matty Anderson. Wow, they did not look phased in that match. There were a couple of moments I picked out. I thought Matty Anderson's his forward passes have been tremendous. He is able to play the ball in front of Palma. Palma, to be fair, looks to, as we've spoken about, looks to have trimmed down a bit and added maybe a wee touch of extra pace to his game, which is good. And he's also looking a bit more mobile. But I thought Matty Anderson's distribution was excellent. And I thought Colby Donovan and Anderson, I thought, looked very comfortable defensively. There was a point where Colby Donovan actually picked the ball up and a couple of players surrounding him, and he was just looking around and making sure that the channel was free before he played it back to Bain. And I thought that was a real mature bit of play. They had a couple of cracking runs going forward as well. So really delighted to see those two boys, making the most of their opportunity. Whether they'll still be on for the second half, I'm not sure, but I thought they gave a good account of themselves. Kyogo has continued his, I don't think he allows his energy levels to drop. I mean, he has played throughout pre-season just with going at 110%. Hasn't scored, but his movement has been superb. I think he's starting to build up what looks to be a good relationship with Kuhn, and I'll come to Kuhn in a second, but Kuhn seems to be starting to read some of Kyogo's movement, which is really promising. There are a couple of great opportunities for Kyogo in there. Kuhn, just to stay on him, he's one of these players that you just think there's something there. There's something there. And I thought he did some really good stuff in that first half. Wee bit infuriating at times. There were times I was just like, take him on, take the player on, go forward. Don't look for the most obvious pass. Just take the player on. But actually, again, you saw the quality. He made a great cross for Kyogo at one point. I mean, amazing. I was talking about Kyogo not getting on headers. Well, there you go. Just curse of the podcaster, if you like. I said Kyogo was never going to get on a header for a cross. Couldn't put in an absolute belter, and Kyogo got onto it. Was unlucky not to score. So Kuhn for me has again done well, and I think he is starting to show the traits that we expect from a quality player. And last point about the team. Well, I don't care if we don't sign anybody. Can we please keep Matt O'Reilly? Can we please? Because there's a real, as great as it is to see Matt O'Reilly scoring 2 goals and brilliant and really pleased to see it, there's 2 big issues with it. One, again, we're showing a huge dependence on a player who may not be there by the end of the window. And that's worrying. So we do need other players to step up. And 2, scoring 2 goals, even if it is a pre-season friendly, it's not going to put off any potential suitors, is it?
No, you're right. I mean, Matt O'Reilly, he's a player who I just think, at the start of last season, we were talking about the player he could be if he added the goals, if he added those goals to his game. And, the player's got to take credit first and foremost. But I do think that he has transformed. He's been transformed under Brendan Rodgers. And there were certain points last season where it was difficult to give Brendan Rodgers any kind of credit because people were cracking up at the style of play and the fact that the players we had brought in simply weren't up to scratch. But throughout that season, Matt really continued to put in the performances. He was getting the goals, he was getting the assists, and he's done it the same again tonight. And of course, he's already scored in pre-season. Here we go. Fashion Polis out. Well, you know this, Maestro. we talk about all nuances of Celtic Football Club, including the fashions. Should two 40-something-year-old men be talking about fashion? I'm not sure.
Probably not.
But we will anyway. We will anyway. Yeah, I mean, lots to kind of chew on there. You mentioned Donovan. I felt for a 17-year-old, honestly, I think he does look very mature. He looks very physically ready for the step up to the first team. I do like Peter Grant as a co-commentator, and I think that when he's talking about the game time that these youngsters need, he's thinking back to himself breaking through as a 17-year-old in Davy Hayes' side, where he made his debut at Ibrox. But every player around about that era, and you're starting to get a sense of this now, Chris, every player around about that era talks about the benefit of the reserve league and playing against, first team footballers and not playing against like 17-year-olds and the step up and, getting thrown into a situation that maybe you're thinking on your feet. Look what happens when we throw two young kids in, right back and left back. Virtually all the comments are going on about these two guys, right? And I'm not going to get carried away, but one of them, Matthew Anderson, he's a player who has gone away for a season to one of our kind of partnership clubs, Admira Wacker. I think we need to do more of that. And he's got an entire season under his belt. He's come back and he's been playing competitive football. Now, I know it's not the top division and it's not going to be the highest level of football, but you can tell that he's got that football under his belt, Chris. We need to do more of that with the youngsters, don't we?
We do. You can see the benefit. I mean, we spoke about the same thing with Bosun Lawal in the first couple of games. You could see the difference a season on loan had made to him. It was evident. He just looked more assured, physically, better prepared, better equipped. And I think you're seeing that with Matty Anderson. And I think the two boys really did well. But you're right, that there has to be a route, there has to be a pathway to getting more exposure to first team football. The B team experiment has failed for me. I know it's not going anywhere, but for me it doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. You may as well go and play amateur Sunday league football. It's not going to work. Reserve football, and we've had a lot of ex-pros talk about the benefits of reserve football, where you're playing for the reserves, but you're coming up against other established first team players playing in the opposition reserve team, and the benefits that you'd get for that. Just listening to people like Jackie McNamara, talks about the benefits of reserves. You hear Simon Donnelly, benefits of reserves. You hear, and I'm name dropping a lot here, I'll do one more, but Murdo McLeod, there's a kid coming in at 16 to Dumbarton, and he's replacing Willie Wallace, a Lisbon Lion, coming on at 16. I mean, ridiculous. But he's going in there to play against, grown, established players. And that's the exposure these guys need. Now, look, Matty Anderson and Kobe Donovan are not going to come in and suddenly be first-team players. But we talk about this view of having your first choice in each position, your Plan B sort of player, or your second choice player in these positions. Well, the third choice for me should always go to a young player. It should always go to one of these guys. And see, for me, if you've got Alistair Johnson as your right back, and then you've got Tony Ralston, let's say, so we're pretty well covered there. But you're 3, 4, 5 goals up in a game, maybe, which will probably happen throughout the season. At least we hope it will. Mm-hmm. Why not bring Kobe Donovan on and give him 20 minutes against against the St Mirren or against a Motherwell or something like that? The benefit he would get from that would be immense. And I think you have to be, as a club, you have to give these guys the route in to do that. You have to give them the pathway.
You do, you absolutely do, and I agree with you. And I said that was one of probably the frustrations when I look back on the 9 in a row era. The only one I've seen, for anybody wondering if I was old enough to see the first one, I'm talking about the modern one. And the amount of games where you're maybe winning 3-0 at home, Chris, against St Johnstone or Ross County or Dundee, and you've got to give these boys minutes. And I just think to grow playing with and against pros who have got bags of experience, and what they learn from it, I think it's invaluable. And again, I think I would have had that observation in any case. But then when you do speak to guys who had the benefit of that bridge from youth football to first team, and that bridge was the reserve league, and they continually go on about the benefit of the reserve league, I don't think we'll ever see it return to Scottish football unless the top 3 or 4 clubs actually pay for it, because it was a financial decision, I believe, at the time. But I'm of the kind of school of thought where I think I would pay into that. If there was 4 or 5 clubs who were willing to, then I would do it, because in the meantime, you're sending these guys out maybe to Austria and elsewhere if we can get these partnerships up with other clubs. I thought that the loan deals that have worked really, really well for Celtic over the years, the obvious ones, obviously Callum McGregor, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Chris Aya worked with Chris Aya going to Kilmarnock, and
Ryan
I think
Christie,
Ryan Christie and Scalesy going up to Aberdeen. So it does work. It does work, and we need to do more of that rather than players not contributing to our first team and maybe not getting the competitive football they need to develop. So 2 outstanding performances I felt in the first half. A big shout out, says Tony Cassidy, to the night shift. Well, I've got to give you a shout out as well. All the guys and girls who are listening in. In the pre-match, we had 2,200 people tuning into that over the piece.
I'm blown. I shouldn't be surprised at that, because I've been in and around the Acsom support for a couple of years now. But yeah, the amazing guys, absolutely brilliant. To be fair, I'm going to be honest. If I wasn't doing this with you, I'd probably be on there, adding comments anyway. So
with that strong coffee that you're drinking, I've noticed. I don't have one here, by the way. I need to go and get one for the second half. Mackenzie Coyle. Did you guys see the full half? I've seen a lot of comments coming through saying that Celtic TV had cut off after 8 minutes. I got the full first half.
Fine. Yeah, mine was okay. At one point it jumped a little bit, but actually it was okay.
Not being smug, Mackenzie, but mine was fine, mate. Sorry. Now let's see Lawwell in the second half. I want to see a lot of people in the second half, because we have spoken about the comments that Brendan had made about Lawwell and Home, and there's me sitting thinking that they had done pretty well in the first couple of games. But I'm not going to say he was scathing, but he was pretty bold. Was he brutal in his comments? But I think it was as much a message to the 2 guys he name-checked that, as it was to all the other young guys who are on this trip.
I think so. I said it on Friday. I didn't see any negative connotations around it at all. For me, it was, this is just reinforcing the standards that you need to hit to play at this club. For me, I think he name-checked those 2 because those 2 are potentially the closest in terms to being able to make that step up. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see it as him having an attack on those 2 players. I saw it as him saying, look, you guys have got an opportunity here, but it's not just going to be given to you. You have to take it. So here's what you're going to have to do to take it. So we know you've got talent. We know you've got the ability to go and play at that level. But have you got the work ethic? Have you got the attitude? Are you conducting yourself appropriate to a player at this football club? I thought he was saying there are levels you need to hit, and you're not quite there yet, but you've got the chance to get there. So go and get the work in. And that for me is good management. For me, rather than him saying, be careful, the door's going to close, I felt he was saying, the door's open, it's up to you boys to go and step through it.
Yep, and if we do see him in the second half, it'll be interesting to see how he has progressed over the last couple of weeks. George Robertson, welcome to the show. Kuhn needs to hit the byline more. I thought Kuhn had a decent first half. He's the guy that I've given a prediction on for this season. I think last season, throughout the campaign, I was talking about Iwata a hell of a lot, and there was certain games I really wanted to see Iwata, and I think he's played really well in the first half as well.
Yeah, kind of weird role. He was getting much further forward than what I was expecting. At certain times, he was up there, kind of actually supporting Kyogo in the attack, which was interesting. I think I agree with you on Kuhn. I think Kuhn has done some good stuff in the game. I would like to see him just show a little bit more initiative. And be confident enough to go and take his man on, because I actually think he's got the ability. But I thought he did well. Iwata, certainly good attitude today. He looks right up for it, and he's playing. And actually, I think because, or maybe it's because of the type of game it is and who we're up against, he seems to have got a little bit of freedom. So he's not sitting deep all the time. He's venturing forward, which is great. You talk about Lawwell coming on. I would like to see Lawwell coming on, but I would actually like to see Lawal coming on to play in that midfield, maybe in Iwata's place. Take Iwata's place, for example, and see how he fares playing alongside Hatate and O'Reilly for a period. I know we probably won't keep those guys on for the full half, but give him a chance to go and see how he gels with those guys and see how a midfield would look with him in it. I'd be quite interested in. Maybe similar, maybe you put him in for Hatate, bring Kalmak on, for example. So you get. I just think to see what these guys can do, and if they're capable of stepping up, you need to play them alongside the guys that they're aspiring to play alongside.
The first picks. By the way, I didn't realise that went really, really quickly. It's time to go back to the second half. One final comment. It comes in from Gary Doonan. Welcome back, Gary. Grant, he was nearly 19, so at 18, he always looked young, though, didn't he? You ever notice that Peter Grant looked like Corey Feldman? Remember Corey Feldman from the Goonies?
He still does.
It's incredible. He looks great for his age. So, yeah, Gary, 18 going on 19 at that time. And I'm sure Gary was at the game, actually, at Ibrox as well. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. And join us at full time. We will still be up. I think we'll finish at about 2:45 this morning. We'll still be up. Go away and enjoy that second half, and we'll see you at full time. All that's left for me to say thank you again, Chris McElwain, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Cheers, guys.